Family photographs, keepers of our memories. They transport us back, a birthday, a summer at the lake, the first day of school. Each photo tells the story of who we were and who our parents were. For Thomas Miller, these photographs were a source of comfort. He lived a quiet life, filled with ordinary days and a loving family. On rainy Sundays, he'd sit in his favorite chair, tea in hand, and lose himself in old albums. His mother, young and vibrant, his father, strong and proud. Every face, every smile, a familiar landmark. The albums were a map of his life. No mysteries, just a neat, tidy history. Or so he believed. But history isn't always as clear as a photograph. Sometimes a picture hides a secret in plain sight. A detail you overlook 100 times, until one day, you don't. And when you finally see it, everything changes. The comfort of the familiar shatters, the story becomes a question mark. The photograph, once a window, becomes a locked door. And you're left wondering what or who is hidden behind it. For Thomas, that moment was coming. A moment that would turn his world upside down. A question that would haunt him for the rest of his days. Sometimes, the past is not as distant as it seems. One rainy afternoon, Thomas visited his parents. After lunch, his mother brought out a box of old photographs from the attic. They laughed at the clothes and hairstyles, reliving memories. Thomas picked up a photo from a family barbecue. He was about 10. He remembered the day, the smell of charcoal, the warmth of the sun. But then, something caught his eye. Near the edge of the frame, behind his family, stood a figure. Tall, thin, partially obscured by an oak tree. The face was blurred, unnaturally smeared, as if erased. A chill ran down Thomas's spine. He squinted, trying to place the person. Was it a neighbor? A forgotten friend? Nothing came to mind. Just a blank space. A stranger at their family barbecue. A faceless presence, captured forever. The photo, once comforting, now felt unsettling. Who was this person? And why had he never noticed them before? Some questions once asked can never be unasked. "Mom? Dad?" Thomas asked, holding out the photo. "Who is this? By the oak tree?" His parents leaned in, squinting. His mother shook her head. "It's just us, dear." His father nodded. "Probably just a shadow." But Thomas saw the figure clearly. A person, not a shadow. He insisted, tracing the outline. "Right here, it's a person." His parents exchanged a quick glance. "It's nothing, Thomas. Just an old faded picture," his father said, closing the subject. But for Thomas, it was just beginning. Their denial was more disturbing than the blurred face. How could they not see it? Or were they pretending not to? He felt isolated, as if he alone could see this ghost in the frame. He wanted to argue, but saw it was pointless. The mystery deepened. Who was the stranger, and why did his parents deny their existence? Sometimes, the scariest mysteries are the ones no one else will acknowledge. The photograph was no longer just a memory, it was a puzzle. And Thomas was the only one trying to solve it. The past had left him a riddle, and he couldn't look away. Some secrets refused to stay hidden. Thomas took the photograph home, unable to let it go. He studied it for hours, searching for a clue in the blur. But the face was a perfect, featureless smudge. The more he looked, the more it mocked him. Over the years, the photo became a quiet obsession. He never spoke of it again, not after his parents' reaction. Sometimes, late at night, he'd pull it out and stare, asking, "Who are you? Why were you there?" The mystery became a missing piece of his own story. Life moved on. He met Sarah, fell in love, got promoted. But the photograph lingered, a constant hum of unease. He found himself scanning old photos at friends' houses, searching crowds for a familiar posture. The obsession was subtle, but it colored his life. He became more watchful, more aware of people on the periphery. He was living with a ghost, a silent witness denied by everyone but him. The mystery was no longer just in the photo, it was inside him. Some questions never fade, some faces never leave. The past had left its mark. Strange things began to happen. Fleeting shadows in the hallway, always gone when he turned. He blamed it on fatigue, tricks of the light, but it kept happening. A tall, thin shadow vanishing at the edge of sight. Then came the whispers, faint and indistinct, as if from another room. Sarah would ask what was wrong, but he couldn't explain. One evening, developing photos in his basement darkroom, he felt a sudden intense cold. The air grew heavy. He felt watched. He turned. Nothing there. But for a split second he thought he saw a tall, thin figure in the shadows. He tried to rationalize it. Chemicals, isolation, imagination. But the feeling was real. A silent, watchful presence. The same feeling as when he looked at the old photograph. The figure was no longer confined to the past. It was bleeding into his present. It was getting closer. Some mysteries refused to stay in the dark. Some shadows follow you home. Thomas's wedding to Sarah was the happiest day of his life. For a while, he forgot the photograph and the strange events. Weeks later, their wedding photos arrived. Beautiful, joyful memories. They laughed, reminisced, spread the photos out on the table. Then Sarah picked up a picture. "Who is this?" Thomas's blood ran cold. In the background behind his shoulder stood a tall, thin figure in dark clothes. The face was a blur, unnaturally smeared, even in a crisp digital photo. It was the same figure, closer this time, no longer hidden at the edge. He searched the other photos. There it was again and again, a faceless presence among the guests. The impossible had followed him. The past was now part of his present. The comfort of photographs was gone. The figure was no longer a memory. It was a guest at his wedding. Some mysteries refused to be left behind. Some faces haunt every chapter. The story was far from over. Thomas stared at the photograph, reality fractured. The past had followed him, stood behind him as he pledged his life to Sarah. He tried to explain about the old photo, his parents' denial, the shadows and whispers. He laid the old barbecue photo next to the wedding picture. There it was, the same faceless stranger decades apart. Sarah saw it too. Her confusion turned to fear. The mystery was no longer his alone. But sharing it brought no comfort, only terror. What did it want? Why was it attached to him? The figure was no longer a passive observer. It had drawn closer, moving from the edge of the frame to just over his shoulder. Thomas keeps the photographs locked away now. He doesn't look at them, but he feels the presence every day. In a fleeting shadow, a blurred face in a crowd, he lives with the chilling, unanswered question. In every new photograph, he wonders how much closer the figure will be. Some guests never leave. Some mysteries never let go. And some faces, once seen, are never forgotten.